Kobe, starting with you on this one, how do you feel about Formula One accepting the Cadillac F1 team's entry for 2026? And does it seem like Michael Andretti standing down did pave the way to make this all possible?
Josh, for the longest time on this show, we've been following this progress and all of the ugly things that have been happening behind the scenes and which have surfaced, to the public. So really, all we had to do to get Cadillac into Formula One was to toss Michael Andretti to the side, and voila, here we go, Cadillac F1 team. I think the general consensus, there's a lot of mixed emotions behind this, and me as an American, I'm very happy to see that we're finally going to have a, full blown American operation here with the Cadillac get into Formula One. I think a lot of American Formula One fans are going to be very excited to follow this team, especially, with the Andretti influence. Real unfortunate for Michael Andretti because we know how hard he's worked to get Andretti Global into Formula One, and he's basically he basically walked so the Cadillac could run with this project, or Michael Andretti has so-called fallen on the sword, to make this happen. And it is an unfortunate situation for him, but at the end of the day, this is still going to be the Andretti Global operation running Formula One. So while it's unfortunate, the team won't be called Andretti Global F1 or anything like that, it's still going to be the Andretti team running Cadillac. So I guess that's something to be happy about because Formula One didn't have to accept this entry, but it seemed like once Michael Andretti stepped aside, that they were more than willing to do something like this. And we already talked about on past shows, Michael Andretti giving his business partner Dan Towers, complete control of his Andretti global teams, and how Michael said in a statement that he just simply wanted to spend more time with his family and all of that. And I do think that is true to a certain degree, but I certainly think there's a lot more to that situation as well. I know we're going to talk a little bit about an NBC exclusive article in just a moment, but I also want to pull a quote from Mario Andretti's interview with Nathan Brown from Indy Star when talking about how is Michael handling this information about Cadillac getting approved while Michael himself, did not. Mario Andretti told Nathan Brown at Indy Star that Michael is totally okay with this, and if that's what had to be done for the sake of getting this thing going, he agreed to do whatever needed to be done. It seems like that was a magic thing at the moment for many reasons. So basically, Mario Andretti is admitting that in order for this project to get approved, all Michael had to do was basically hand over control of his team to Dan Towers, agree not to use the Andretti Global name on this F1 project, and voila, you can run your team without putting the Andretti name on it. Yeah, so that's why there's a lot of mixed emotions behind this story. But all in all, happy to see Cadillac in Formula One. Looking forward to seeing what they do, but really hate it for Michael Andretti and this that he can't have his name on the team. But we saw the back and forth, and it's not surprising that Formula One would have conditions like this because he really upset a lot of people, especially when he took legal action against them.
Yeah, that was big, wasn't it? So as you say, we followed this story pretty much all the way through. When this story came out, was it Saturday? I feel like over the Las Vegas weekend, I saw it and went, "Oh yeah, that's an interesting time to roll this one out." Just when we've got another Grand Prix happening in the States, this won't happen. This is just cannon fodder for the media. Actually, it seems like it's going ahead, which was quite surprising. Always, as we've said, the whole piece of this on multiple occasions, it's great to have a new team coming in, and especially one with such firepower and backing that this, now we should call it the Cadillac F1 team, will have. Going to be interesting to see what they do with their sports car programs if this rolls through, because there's going to be some money going to all different places, but that's another bridge to cross another time. I don't understand what, apart from the legal action that you just mentioned, Kobe, what Liberty and or Formula One have got against Michael Andretti, or he's got against them, or vice versa, because he was the big spoon in the pot here trying to make all of this happen. Now they've baked the pie and his spoon has been taken away. I don't quite understand what or why. It's not like Ron Dennis, former McLaren boss who employed him in the 90s, is now running Formula One and said, "I'm not having you in again." Maybe there's still this F1 IndyCar thing. He's got an IndyCar team. We can't allow him to come into Formula One. Of course, I know that works backwards with McLaren being in IndyCar, but of course they were in F1 first, so there's a bit of a difference there. But maybe there is still that in the background that they don't want to be associated with the IndyCar side of things. Perhaps this will all perhaps come out in the wash eventually in a couple of years' time, once this team is off the ground, maybe Michael will sit down with somebody and give his full side of the story on this once the team is on the grid and racing. But it looks like finally, to some degree, this whole Andretti Cadillac Formula One saga seems to be reaching a conclusion, which frankly is great for everybody because, as we've talked about many times, we were all a bit bereft of the situation, and now finally it does seem to be coming to some sort of conclusion.
I can just see it now, can't I? The book by Michael Andretti, How They Screwed Me, How I Done It. So it's quite fun, actually. I can't wait to see that. They all come out in books these days as well. Let's get some exclusive interviews now as well, because in an exclusive interview as well with Salio Calpa from NBC News, Mario Andretti went into detail about the next steps for Cadillac F1 team. He essentially confirmed that his role on the team board will be similar to the role that Niki Lauda held with Mercedes. Mario also said that everybody is happy with how this has turned out, including Michael Andretti, which was the most important part in his opinion. Now, towards the end of the interview, Mario confirmed that the team's first driver lineup for 2026 will likely consist of an experienced F1 driver, regardless of nationality, and the other seat will go to an American driver. The link to this interview is in the video description as well. Adam Lemridge is here, first of all, saying as well, maybe we can see another American driver back in F1 in 2026. By the way, happy Thanksgiving as well to us three up here, and happy Thanksgiving to you as well, Adam. Hopefully it wasn't too bad where you work as well in the mad rush. Well, if you listened to Danica Patrick on the Sky Sports F1 broadcast this weekend, she'll say that it'll be fantastic for Formula One to finally have an American driver on the field, despite the fact that Logan Sargent's been driving for Williams in the first half of this season and of last season as well. Well done, Danica. So, to bring in two people who do know things about Formula One and motorsports and actually have brains, do you anticipate that the Andretti still having a bit of influence in the direction of this project, and which drivers would be a good option for Cadillac F1?
Thank you for the kind words on that, Josh, first of all. I didn't hear that because I don't listen to Danica Patrick, but that's funny. I mean, the hot ticket as we stand right now from all the media seems to be the duo of Valtteri Bottas and Colton Herta. Seems to be what everyone seems to be going for. Looks like Bottas is going to be out of a drive for next year. Hot ticket rumours that he's going to be going back to Mercedes in some sort of capacity. Confirmed today that he's going to be doing Race of Champions in Sydney in February, I believe that is, next year. So he will be driving things, but inside a football stadium rather than on a proper racetrack. So that would be an option for them. But we wouldn't have sat here last November and said, oh yeah, in February, Lewis Hamilton's going to announce that he's going to Ferrari. So I don't think we should get too far in front of ourselves with driver market stuff at this portion. On the Andretti side of things, yes, would love to see them obviously still involved in some capacity. Obviously, with the multitude now of races on the American continent, and I include Canada and Mexico in that, we're going to see Michael at the races. We're going to see Mario at the races, and Brazil, of course, as well. We're going to see them pop up in places and at races. And we know Mario likes to come to some of the European races when he gets the opportunity to as well. So they're all still going to be involved. They'll be at the launches. There'll be testing, perhaps. We'll see them pop up there. So we're still going to have some involvement. Of course, Mario being a director of the team is he's on the board there, so that's his involvement straight away. But yeah, I think we are going to still see them involved. But I think on the driver market side of things, let's not run before we can walk here. Lots of moving pieces of the puzzle will change in the driver market in the next 2 years, basically.
Yeah, Matt, I totally agree with you that that the driver market is going to be really crazy come time 2026, and the drivers we're thinking of now who could be in contention for these two seats at Cadillac F1 might not be the actual two that end up driving this car. But yeah, Mario Andretti's on the board. I still think they're going to have some influence, maybe not, outright influence. If the team was named Andretti Global F1 with Michael Andretti still running the day-to-day operations, then they'd obviously have a significant influence. But I think, obviously Dan Towers, who now owns the show, and then obviously the folks at General Motors, GM, that I think they're going to be the ones, moving forward with all of this. But I still think that they're going to respect the opinion of a motorsport great like Mario Andretti, and I think they're very lucky to have him. serving on the team board in regards to drivers. I think that this is a really good approach that they're going to have. One driver who's actually racing in Formula One knows what they're doing, and then a young American driver, whether it's someone from an IndyCar series or maybe someone who's currently on the road to F1, and I guess a bit of the Andretti influence, is still here, because this was Michael Andretti's goal here. He said he wanted to hire an experienced F1 driver, and he also wanted to bring someone up from America to be in his lineup as well. And he also had ambitions to start up Formula 3 and Formula 2 teams as well. I wonder, under the Cadillac F1 team, will Cadillac go down that route and start up F1? We'll start up F2 and F3 teams. I think it would be really cool if they continue that. That would also show influence, the influence that Michael Andretti had over this project as well. I think obviously in a veteran like Valtteri Bottas would be good. Like you're saying, Matt, it's rumored that he's probably going to go back to Mercedes as a test and reserve driver, which would be, good for him to do that, still stay involved in Formula One. And if Cadillac wants to have him in 2026, that would obviously be great. And another driver, seems like his F1 career is over now, but he's does extremely well in the American market. Hello, Mr. Daniel Ricciardo. I think he'd probably be better suited, for his F1 career, to be over at this point. But if Cadillac wants an experienced F1 driver, why not try to bring Danny Rick in one last time? I think the American fans would love to have him driving for an American team. It's crazy how popular that guy is here in the United States. And then also Colton Herta. That's all I've seen. Even Mario Andretti himself say, Colton Herta, would probably be one of the top choices for this project. But I believe in order for him to qualify for the F1 super license, Herta has to have an exceptional season in IndyCar. I believe he has to finish in the top 5 in the point standings again, and then he can get that super license points, and we'll see how it goes from there. If Colton Herta gets the call to F1, I think that would be really great to see how it would do at the pinnacle of motorsport. But outside of Herta, there's also a lot of other great young American drivers who would be deserving of a chance. And F1, he's an Aston Martin Racing F1 reserve driver right now. Why not take a look at the young American Jack Crawford? Looking at Aston Martin's lineup for 2026, Alonso signed through the new regulations, and Lance Stroll is probably going to have a seat until he decides that he doesn't want to race anymore. So that doesn't leave a place for young Jack Crawford, who's also returning to F2 next season and expected to be one of the championship contenders in 2025. So if Jack Crawford goes out, wins the F2 championship, why not give him a look? I think that would be great to have Jack Crawford driving for the Cadillac F1 team if it comes to that. But yeah, I think Cadillac's going to have a whole bunch of options. A lot of drivers are going to be interested in this project, whether it's someone who's currently on the grid, has that experience in F1, or a young American driver, whether it's Colton Herta from the IndyCar series or Jack Crawford, who's currently on the road to F1 and FIA Formula 2.
Here's another one to throw in for the hat as well. Former Andretti IndyCar driver who, yes, didn't end... Well, it didn't end very nicely, did it? With, in one occasion, Michael going through the paddock saying, where is he? Where is he? I'll get him. What about Romain Grosjean? Experienced Formula One driver, have already driven for an American team, well liked in America.
Yeah,
no, just shut down.
I'm going to call that. Sorry, Josh. I'm going to call that off straight away. I can't see.
Rather than Ericsson,
Adam's put his hand up for Mick Schumacher.
I'd go with Ericsson over Grosjean.
Yeah, I was thinking Ericsson.
I was thinking the same thing as you, Kobe, just before you actually said it, was Danny Rick, because he's not attached, is he? He's a free agent. He's still got his Red Bull links, but they could get him in way early in this project and have him as your experienced gun. Someone's also to look out for, and you mentioned if they are going to do their F2, F3, it'll be the Cadillac Academy or whatever, in an Alpine kind of way. We mentioned him on the show last week, young American Macau Grand Prix winner, Ugo Chukwu. If they can get him in the family, then they can bring him through the system, much like you mentioned with Jack Crawford. He knows the paddock, he knows the tracks. Both of those guys could be, on that trajectory as well.
Ugo is in Formula 3 next year as well. He's signed up for these.
And he's in the McLaren Academy, correct?
So easy to, And of course, McLaren has very strong links.
Of course, very good friends with Zach Brown. Something could be done there, perhaps, in the Andretti, Walkinshaw Andretti United McLaren sphere.
Do you know, when this got announced, Sky had Zach Brown on the commentary, and we put the fader up. So they were talking to him in the interview. Me and Megan were sat back and having a listen. And I had one earphone off, and Megan was standing next to me. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I screamed at the top of my voice, "Yes, but you work for them!" So it's kind of like, you're on the board. You've got the dollar under you. So it's like, of course, Zach Brown's happy that he's going to be here because he's now effectively getting 2 slices of the pie. So, it's just a bit bizarre, to be honest with you, coming from that. As Adam says, Mick Schumacher, that could be an option. So, I don't know. Mick, I think he's running out of choices because it sounds like he's already been kicked out of Mercedes as their third driver to be replaced by Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah, and I believe it was last week or the week before. Do you see the emotional post he put out on Instagram? I think that was like a telling sign that Mick knows that he's probably never going back to a Formula One race seat because Mick's not really somebody who shows his emotions like that, and for him to put out an emotional post like that, I think that was somewhat telling.
Yeah, he got to drive the Le Mans CLK, didn't he? A couple of weeks ago, I saw a picture of him in that. And he's with Alpine, of course, in the WEC. So looks like he may be going down that route for his future endeavours.
Well, everybody sort of said, it was a surprise that Alpine had Mercedes engines, but we sort of connect dots because Mick, as a Mercedes driver, was driving for Alpine in the World Endurance Championship. They've already had very strong links there as well with Esteban Ocon driving for them, and of course managed by Toto Wolff. So it's all sort of been in the works that they've been sort of collaborating for a while now. And let's also add into the fact that Jack Doohan, who is the 2025 driver, only has a contract for 5 races. So it's not out the realms of possibility that Mick, if Jack Doohan, for whatever reason, I can't think why, doesn't do well in the opening 5 races, Mick could easily just slip back into Alpine as their third driver. Alpine like Mick. Yeah, only 5 races. That's it. So that's why everyone's been looking around thinking, who could go in his spot then if he doesn't have it? There have been numerous conversations about who could step into the Alpine. But yeah, it's only for 5 races. Could be a little thing to keep an eye on. There's so much happening underneath the world of Formula One right now. It's all seemed to be a bit interesting, but we're getting to the tail end of the season. On that one, we'll bring you more news when we have it.